Ciao ragazzi. Welcome everybody to Juve Power Talk. We've got a special guest with us today, as well as Maxi Famosakaxi or Famaxi Mosakaxi, however you pronounce it. It's Max Massimilianos from Liverpool, and we've got Rocco all the way from Toronto, a very good friend of mine from Bianconeri YYZ. And how are you guys doing today?
Doing great. After yesterday's Italy game, I know not Juve, but I'll take an Italy win anyway.
Ciao, Don Maggi. Yeah, it was very exciting last night, wasn't it? I mean, even for a neutral, I was watching it on Irish TV, and they all seemed to be cheering on the Azzuri and kind of holding them out as potential favourites for the whole tournament as well. It's something I want to get into. It's a talking point. Yeah, I mean, I want to start with Juventus. We've got some Juventus news today. I mean, there's kind of rolling on from last night. Manuel Locatelli got 2 goals last night. They're talking about Juventus potentially having a meeting with Carnevali. It probably happened today. That's what they were speculating. The main talking point was is his price going to go up based on his performances for the Azzurri? I mean, a lot of people I know were saying, between 35 and 40 million, they weren't convinced because, he was a Sassuolo player. But for me, seeing his performances for Italy shows me that he's able to step it up, and it gives me a lot more confidence to just take him straight into the Juventus team, and hopefully he's going to flourish from there. I mean, what do you guys think, Rocco?
Yeah, I think that with Locatelli's performances in the national team, for sure, it's shown that he's not only a domestic type player who's comfortable at that, but he's also now getting a international experience under his belt. And as we say in Italian, we borrow the Latin phrase called "mortem tua vita mea," means your death is my life. So with Verratti being gone, up steps Locatelli and taking full advantage of that, and he's really truly showing his worth so far. So I think that Carnevali's mouths must be salivating after those performances, and I'm sure he's looking to give additional reasons for why Locatelli's price should be higher.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Max? Would you take him?
I think is the Locatelli is a good player. First of all, he's a great player, but 40 million looks a bit too much.
Okay. So you fall into that category. You think 40? Because the speculation is the price could rise even further.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Problem.
I don't think he will, because if he's going to go to play for Juventus, there is already an agreement on the price too.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If they made the agreement a lot earlier than what they say now. Now is speculation, and that's it. But the price has already been set.
So do you think that? Are you saying that the deal has been made as in the deal on the transfer between Juventus and Sassuolo, or are you talking about the individual deal between the player and Juve?
No, with the Sassuolo.
With Sassuolo. Interesting. Okay. I don't know. I don't think a lot of that was set right now, but I think the fact that, and we don't know, right? Like unless we have a direct line.
I'm only guessing.
And sorry.
I'm only guessing to see.
I'm only guessing.
It's all I guess. Anyway, I can't say much more than that.
Same. And but I think that I'm pretty sure, and based on some solid journalists who don't just spread out TMZ nonsense out there, they've been saying that Locatelli and Juve have had an agreement, at least, and of course it's not signed, you can't sign anything, but at least they've had a good chat, and they're fairly sure that they have a $3 million a year contract agreement with him. And that is important. Why is that? What does that matter? Because that's something that Locatelli, the will of the player, ultimately does have some weight. It's not the end in the beginning, but it has a lot of weight and puts pressure on the sides to actually come to a deal. The player wants to leave, the player wants to move on. So Juventus has a little bit of leverage to over Sassuolo in that respect, I think, Colin.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've read recently is that the negotiations now are more to try to get Carnevali to accept a player as a potential, not a direct swap, but as part exchange, to bring down the fee. Dragusin has been mentioned in the last couple of days, particularly for that. Yeah, Fagioli's been mentioned as well, although I've heard from a couple of sources that he's not going to be included in it. But look, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. Dragusin is another young player that's he's got a lot of potential, and do you want to give up on a guy who's got that much potential, or is he worth it? So there's always kind of a trade-off. I mean, what do you do? I mean, would you give up on him considering? Well, it looks like Chiellini's going to stay. Bonucci's probably going to stay. Then you have Demiral, who we're trying to get rid of, so that he would be, in that case, you'd be losing two centre backs. Now you're in a situation where someone like Danilo Rugani is coming back to the club, and he might end up getting a place in the squad if both of those guys let go. I know this is complicated transfer market web stuff. It's literally, but there's kind of a, there's a knock-on effect to everything. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So if you get rid of a centre back, and you have, just because Sassuolo want him, okay, that puts you in a situation you got to replace him. So. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Locatelli, I think he's worth it. I'll give you one good reason for me. Goals and assists from midfield. We saw 2 goals from him yesterday. He's got plenty of goals this season and plenty of assists. The main thing last night, his second goal, a shot from outside the box. When's the last time we've seen one of those hit the back of the net?
I was just going to say for Juve, I don't know. I think it's been since Nedved. Since Nedved times.
Pogba.
Oh man.
Pogba. Yeah. And with supposedly his weaker foot too. So like his left foot, it's obviously relatively weaker. So yeah, I mean, for me, if the price goes up, I don't care. Yeah, you have to get him. You're kind of all in. That's my opinion. I know a lot
40
of
million. 40 million is. You're going to get that back in a couple of years when he's going to be going crazy on the market, right? It's like when you buy a brand new home or something like that. And I don't know where you guys are from England, and I don't know what the housing market's like over there, but you buy a brand new place, it's usually priced out higher than the existing places, but by the time it's built, you have already gained equity. That's the same type situation. By the time Locatelli moves to Juve, it's going to be, and especially if he does well, in a year's time, he'll be worth 60 easily.
Yeah, I think you could, if he continues to do well in this championship, you could even argue, if he carries on 1 or 2 more performances like that, and you could make an argument that he's worth it already. So yeah, with that, I want to move on to another target that was talked about today for the attack. Fiorentina's Dusan Vlahovic. Now we know there's a huge mess going on in Fiorentina right now. Rocco Fasano, your namesake, he must have done something to piss off Gattuso, because Gattuso, 20 days after signing a contract, has walked out of Fiorentina. And the kind of the implications for someone like Vlahovic, it could be that he wants to leave. For me, it could also be that Gattuso came in, spoke to I nearly called him Fasano there, to Camiso, and
see, don't believe that Fasano guy. Fasano, no credibility. Camiso, good guy.
Camiso, good guy.
Okay.
But,
okay.
So we don't know. I mean, Camiso might have wanted to sell him because he's the prize asset for Fiorentina right now. And that could have been the reason that forced Gattuso to leave. I mean, what do you guys think? I think the figure that's been touted is 50 million. Again, another big figure for a young player.
I think that the sorry, Rocco.
Prego. Don't worry about it.
I think that the problem between Commisso and Mr. Gattuso is not the players, it's not Vlahovic, but it's a problem with Mendes, because Mendes is Gattuso's agent.
Yeah,
he wanted to bring in some players with the high cost as well, some Portuguese players, like the one that scored the free kick against Juventus.
Oh yeah,
Oliveira.
okay.
I think that so you see what's it called? Mendes wanted these players in. Gattuso probably wanted them too, and that's what happened. I think that's the mess. That's what I've heard. Anyway, that's what I've read. That's what I've heard.
I think I kind of know what you mean. It's kind of like a Wolverhampton Wanderers situation. So Wolves, they had a Portuguese manager. Mendes was the agent. Then all of a sudden, they get 5 or 6 Portuguese players into the squad. They build a decent team. So I think, so Mendes is obviously, I mean, I haven't heard details in the Italian press about that yet. But, it is I mean, to say I could have predicted it with someone as bullheaded as Gattuso and, Camiso pretty much the same. I definitely I've seen it coming, but I mean, would you be interested in Vlahovic, Rocco?
Well, look, I mean, we are in need of a number 9 dearly. I think that's something that's been identified. I know that Morata's renewing, so I guess he kind of fills in and it's on the cheap. And he's part of the band and all that, and everyone knows each other and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. You're looking down the road, and you're looking for players who can make a difference up top. I think he's one of the more interesting up and comers. I'm not surprised at the price tag 50 million, because he's a striker and flashy, and that adds to the allure of picking up someone like that. I'm not surprised at all to see that that's what they want. Do I think that it's inflated? All prices are inflated right now, except when we're trying to sell, right? Like, because we couldn't sell, anything to the, to people in dire need. So I think he would have been, or he would be a good addition. Maybe not right now. I mean, Morata fills in that kind of backup, or maybe we could use him to back up Morata, because Ronaldo's doesn't really play as a striker. All of this said, we don't know what kind of setup Allegri exactly has in his mind. We're coming off of a year with Pirlo, with players that are going to play in a certain spot in the league, that we're playing a certain spot in the formation. Now with Allegri, God knows, he might just wipe the blackboard clean and start anew. So we'll see what they have in mind. Ultimately, I think that Allegri is not the type of coach that will impose certain things on management. He'll actually say, you guys do your business, like truly business, as in try to sell players and buy players and make ends meet. And then I will kind of tailor make your team for you. And that's kind of the reason why he was called back.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. I mean, they've said he might have a little bit more control in terms of directing the Mercado, the list of players that he wants. And I have heard it said that I've read that he is interested in Vlahovic. I did see that today, that he's one of the number 1 targets. But, also someone like Icardi, Gabriel Jesus, those kind of players. But, I mean, does it all hinge on Ronaldo Dybala situation for you? What do you think?
I think that definitely Dybala's staying. Dybala's going to be renewing. Whether he stays for a long time is to be debated. I think right now, ironically enough, anyone would have bet that Dybala would have been the first to go and Ronaldo's going to stay. I think Ronaldo out of the two is more likely to leave. One, because of his age. Two, because of his contracts in his third out of 4 years, I think, and of his of his wage demand. Right. I could see, but I could see. I mean, if Juventus was that risky or not risk adverse, they might offer Ronaldo, say, listen, like, reduce your salary, we'll extend your, by 1 more year. So you'll make what you would have made in 1 year over 2 years if you're actually that serious about playing top level football. So, but it's just such a mess. It's such a mess. Ronaldo staying, Dybala staying, Morata staying. So to answer your question directly, I don't think that it's all hinging on Vlahovic coming. I don't think that's hinging on that situation. That said, should Ronaldo leave, Juventus has a trove of money to invest in freed up payroll. I mean, a little bit also.
So it wouldn't hurt, but
no, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, I don't think it would hurt in terms of new names and buying new jerseys, sure, but it would hurt in so many more ways, because we all know that Ronaldo moves markets. I mean, the guy takes a bottle, he moves it out of the way, and apparently we don't know for sure if that caused it, but Coca-Cola stock all of a sudden went down. We know he moves markets. I mean, that example aside, you can take it or leave it, but we know that he moves markets. Look at how much Juventus's brand has grown over the course of the last 2-3 years, right? Huge.
Yeah, it's a fact. Just to go to the bottle incident, I think sales in Pepsi went up as a result of that. I mean, it was just like the guy has got so much influence. It's really hard to quantify. But I mean, what else can you say about it? I mean, if he stays and he renews, it gives us a chance to renew our sponsorship deals, and that allows money to be pumped into the club, and that's nothing to be sniffed at. Remember our Adidas deal? I can't remember the original figure, but it went up to around 400 million, so about 100 million a season when he signed, and it was a big jump. And if he stayed, even to renew for a year, you get the option to pump more money in. So it's never as simple as just a footballing issue or what the player wants. There's way more involved. So yeah.
Anyway, UEFA calling. I don't know if you heard about UEFA. UEFA spoke about this situation. They said that they're going to fine the FAs for each country that's going to do something like that. You say?
How do you mean?
They're gonna find the Italy or Portugal or whatever if they're gonna move the bottles again.
Really?
Yeah. No, okay. I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I would be like, my first thing, and I'm not like a business major, but knowing how business works, I mean, like, I'm Coca-Cola. I gave you money in order for that bottle to be there when so and so is speaking, especially when the biggest player in the world, or at least biggest player in Euro and biggest goal scorer is there speaking. That is the biggest platform that you have. And this guy did the opposite of what advertising should be. He actually gave you negative advertising. Said not only did he just move the bottles because they were bothering him, he moved the bottles because it's no good, and instead you should be drinking water, he said. Right. Yeah. So like, absolutely wouldn't be surprised, Max, if UEFA, has given all the federations associations participating, a stern warning not to have their players do that again.
Yeah, but the problem is Pogba did the same with the beer.
Yeah.
But they're gonna change the situation now because he's Muslim. Pogba, they're not gonna put any alcohol in front of a Muslim from now on.
Aspetta. That was non-alcoholic beer. That was Heineken
0.0. Yeah.
Give me that
I know that doesn't make any sense, but that's what they said. That from now on, if it's a bottle of beer, Heineken, a proper beer, a proper one, they're not going to put me in front of a Muslim player.
Oh, okay.
But now, if they're going to do that, why someone that thinks about people's health cannot move the coke?
Right.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
You know what I mean? You know, it's not. I don't think that is fair, really. Because if I think about the people's health, I say don't drink coke. I'm Muslim. No, I don't drink beer. They don't drink beer too. That, you know, it's the same thing.
I honestly, nutritionally, I'm not a nutritionist, but I'm interested in these kinds of things. Non-alcoholic beer is healthier for you than Coca-Cola.
100%.
You can have that and actually fuel up for a game because there's carbs in that and it's fairly clean. And there's nothing but Coca-Cola. You have one of those, it's like chock full of sugar. Anyway, I digress.
Okay, if Coca-Cola want to sponsor the podcast, you know, that's fine. We'll delete the episode. But give me the money.
Coke Zero, come on.
Coke Zero,
by the way, in 2008, Ronaldo was doing advertisement for Coca-Cola, you know.
See?
As well.
One of my great friends, Leveled AF, how are you getting on, buddy? He says he agrees with us. So what about sugar-free Coke? It's surely a better option. Better than non-alcoholic beer. Yeah, I don't know. But what else was I going to say? So, I mean, seems we're talking about European Championships. What do you make of Italy so far, Rocco?
I mean, I'm just waiting for the candid camera, right? I'm like, am I on candid camera? Like, what's going on? Italy winning.
Something going on.
2 games, 3-0. The last time Italy won the first 2 games in a tournament, as far as I can remember it, well, Euro at least, it was in Euro 2000, and they went all the way to the final.
Yeah.
You know, but never have they won 3-0, and now they've done it twice in a row. I think that we are all being set up for a big disappointment. To me, this team here has shown so much, has done so well, undefeated in 29, 12 clean sheets 10 clean sheets in a row. Problem is, bunch of Europa League players, excuse me for saying this, with a few exceptions. We have a few. We don't have that much experience at the big European stage, be it Champions League or Euro or World Cup for that matter.
Okay.
And the rest are just like Europa League type players or below, right? So, and we're untested. We haven't played against a big nation over the course of the last 30 games. So, like, where's the France's? Where's the Portugal? Where's the Spain? Where's the Germany? Where's the England that we've played? We haven't played any of them. So, untested.
Yeah.
You see, the situation that you just said, Rocco, about that the players haven't got no experience in Europe or things like that. I think that can play a good part for Italy this year, you know, to be honest. For one simple reason, because they got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
They haven't got nothing to lose. Big teams got to lose if they play against us. We haven't got nothing to lose at all. Then other teams got to be very careful.
Could be some added enthusiasm, I guess, right? That you can bring.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For me, the weakness, you know, the 2 weaknesses they've got are up front, Immobile and Insignolo, according to Max. Max gave him that nickname. So I don't know. I think, yeah. I think
Insignolo, the 8th dwarf from Snow White.
Okay. I was wondering about Insigne. I wasn't getting that one. Okay.
Yeah. But
he's the one missing.
I just think maybe when it comes to the latter stages of the competition, when you need a killer up front, like we saw Immobile get, you know, he took his chance eventually, but he missed quite a lot. Like, you know, missed him badly. You know, he couldn't even get shots on target. You know,
I think we're going to see Italy's limits once we get to to me, par would be quarterfinal finish would be meeting expectations. Anything beyond I'd be really surprised. The only difference is that Italy has a team. There's a lot of other nations that have better players, better experience, higher level of experience, more Champions League games. But what Italy is a team. Some of these other teams, these countries that I've seen playing are a bit, they lack that team cohesion. I see Italy with a little more team cohesion in them. Hopefully it'll last. Hopefully it'll help them. They can leverage that in order to advance beyond expectations.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm certainly shouting for Italy this year. And they certainly do. I mean, their midfield unit, I think, is their best asset. They've got a solid midfield unit, and they've even got Verratti to come back into it as well, if they're stuck. But for me, I look at that unit right now, and I don't see Verratti getting back in there.
He could be that crazy variable. And I think Italy has two aces. I think Mancini has two aces up his sleeve still that are underutilized. They're not utilized at all. Verratti was the one you just mentioned, and I think, again, his pedigree and his experience at the Champions League experience and all kinds of levels is something that can come in handy down the road. And another one is Chiesa. I think Chiesa has been underutilized. He came on late in yesterday's game, was not impressive at all. It's hard to get into matches, but I think he's got so much pep, and we've seen what he can do at Juve. I think he should be able to replicate that at the European stage, no problem.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned Chiesa, for me, he was Juve's player of the season.
Absolutely.
Besides Cuadrado.
Yep.
Danilo.
And
Danilo, particularly in the first part of the season. Chiesa is definitely going on my jersey for next year. Were you surprised at all at his performances this year?
At Chiesa's performances? I think, honestly, I did not see him I did not foresee him integrating into the team as well as he did. We all knew what he was capable of. It's just that when you make that shift from, let's face it, a Fiorentina side, which is generally mid-table, they recently, last couple of years, they've staved off relegation just. I think that Chiesa has shown that he's definitely worthy of a Juve jersey, and he's integrated really well into the team. He has not suffered the presence of someone like Ronaldo. And I really like that attitude. Now Ronaldo's great, but I'm not going to be irreverent to that. I'm me. I'm going to do my thing in my job, and he's just crazy. He's just a crazy player, in the best way possible. You can use that term.
Yeah,
but
I've seen him.
Chiesa, even he's the only player that this year for Juventus never passed the ball to Ronaldo in a lot of occasions.
I noticed that too.
That shows that he's got the personality of playing in a certain way. Yes. He doesn't care who you are. So if I got a chance to score, I score. I don't care that you want to score or you are Ronaldo. That's the best thing about Chiesa.
Perfect.
I think so too. Because Ronaldo, you can see, even in Portugal games, if things aren't going his way, he'll start giving out to the winger and start telling him, it needs to come in this way, and he's very vocal. And Chiesa at times has no problem throwing his arms up in the air and telling him where to go, in a kind of a non-verbal way. And I love that about him. I think he's got a great attitude. I love his running. He reminds me, I know a lot of people kind of say, "Oh, God, will you ever shut up?" But he reminds me so much of his dad. I don't know why. I've even watched old highlights of Enrico and the way he runs with the ball. Obviously they've played a bit of football together, but the way they move with the ball is very similar. His dad was, a centre forward, but he was more of the support striker, and he could play a little bit wide as well. So for me, there's a lot of similarity there, and I think he scored 3 or 4 headers as well, and a few instinctive kind of reaction shots that were deflected. I think there was one against Milan, and there was a couple others. In
the Champions League as well, he scored with the header,
with his edge. And for me, those are.
He did.
Yeah, he did, and that's not what you expect from a winger. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's room for him to even he could fill in at support striker. He could do a lot anyway. He's young and he's multi-talented, and that's the main thing. Delighted with him. I think he's the find of the season. I wouldn't say I was surprised. I was acutely aware that he wasn't happy. Look, we all know he wasn't happy because when he expressed his interest in leaving Fiorentina, the fans turned against him and they turned against his brother, and it got quite nasty there. So it became a bit of a hostile situation for him there, even though he had to stay for an extra year. So his performances, they weren't great in the meantime with Fiorentina, but I kind of remember it a little bit further back when things were a bit easier for him, So yeah,
he really showed abnegation. He's someone who, like Iachini, I think was playing him. I want to say it was Iachini back then, or was it Prandelli? Was playing him as a wing back, and he took that on. Like, yep, whatever it is, So great attitude. At the same time, like Max just said, like confidence, right? Not arrogance, but confidence in his own tools and his abilities. So fantastic, up and down, good attitude. And you look at how good he's being on the bench for Italy. Like he could start to make noise. He could be like, listen, guys, I can kick ass. He can do better than Insigne. And yesterday, you can tell the reason why he didn't succeed in yesterday's game. One, he wasn't given enough time. Two, he just came on like he wanted to, like, just, in Italian we say spaccare il mondo, like you just want to just rip everything apart, right? And sometimes when you die trying for something and you just overdo it and overcook the egg, so to speak. That's what he did. Chiesa overcooked the egg yesterday.
There is one thing that you need to get Chiesa. To become like his father, need the killer instinct.
Yeah.
Because his father had the killer instinct.
He was a pure striker. Enrico Chiesa was a pure striker, and Enrico's more of a winger. So, he's his finishing maybe. But if he's played a little closer to the goal or can get closer to goal, we've seen that he can do damage in terms of goal scoring, but also assists. So that's not to be undervalued, let's say, underrated.
Absolutely. I mean, when he came on yesterday, he seemed to be kind of more on the left-hand side. Has been, and this has been a topic for Chiesa all season. He's had to play kind of because he hasn't fitted in with Quadrado, and where they kind of have to play Quadrado on the right. So at times Chiesa's had to come on the left. But for me, I'd put him in there ahead of Berardi. I'd put him in there ahead of certainly Insigne. But look, both of those players that they've done well. Particularly Berardi's been good in the Euros as well. So I can't really.
Berardi is hard to replace. I mean, how do you? The guy's been wreaking havoc. Like goal, 2 assists. Like the guy's got a point every half. So he's making a compelling case for him to stay on. And I, as we say in Italian, especially Mancini has actually said these words himself. Squadra che vince non si cambia. Team that wins, you don't change. So I foresee Mancini sticking with this team as long as it can go. Maybe experiment with that last match against Wales by bringing in Verratti part-time, giving him an opportunity to familiarize himself with the blades of grass of the Olimpico. But other than that, I think he's going to stick with this team for a while.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned Wales, I'm going to bring up the topic of Aaron Ramsey and his issues and the news. Romeo Agresti tweeted out there the other day, and he had been saying it for a few months, in fairness to him, that Ramsey was top of the list to go. So he made some comments earlier. I know I talked with this to the boys already, but he made some comments in the media just about him being glad to be back with his team, his medical team, and maybe some people took. I mean, I'm not a mind reader, but some people maybe took offense to that. That maybe he was trying to say that his injuries were somehow to do with Juventus medical team or Juventus strength and conditioning team, when we've got a fabulous private hospital at the training ground. So, I just thought it was funny, but I mean,
I think
what do you
Colin, I think that Ramsey is missing one point. That we are more happy than him if he goes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nice. And I mean that J Medical is keeping he's keeping them employed very well. Aaron Ramsey. I'm very disappointed with the whole Aaron Ramsey saga from start to finish.
Yeah.
When he was, the whole thing that these darn agents are getting, this habit that they're getting into in terms of, he's coming in on a free transfer, and therefore, his agent gets a nice lump sum of money. What's that about? Totally, just put a stink over the entire thing. And then he comes in and is perennially injured, and we've seen him only play in bits and pieces throughout the season. Just disappointing. Just one disappointment after another with Aaron Ramsey. For me, I don't think he ever really proved his worth. When we spoke on some of our get-togethers, Colin will tell you on from Juventus YYZ in Toronto, our club that we're part of. It just, like I was saying, out of all the midfielders, the first one to go, in my view, is Ramsey. Not only because of his lack of performances, but also because of the hefty price tag that he comes with, 7.5 million euros.
Yeah.
You can buy a lot better with that money. And I mean, talking about ongoing costs, so salaries, for
Yes.
transfer fees aside, you can get a lot better for someone like that. Who
get two good players for that. Yeah.
He has a good potential, like in terms of potential, as in what a Ramsey can offer you is up here, but he's barely shown maybe 15-20% of that. And that's only because he's been fantastic in like parts of a couple of games and during his entire stay at Juventus. I think, if he were to go, and he's going to go on a free transfer, by the way, don't think for a second that we're going to get a penny for him. I think it'd be money saved, it'd be money in the bank in terms of salaries. The only thing I hope is that we're able to offload him and salaries fully, not another Douglas Costa deal.
Yeah, there are a couple of teams that want him here in the Premier League.
Yeah.
There is Everton, West Ham, and Crystal Palace. Everton has got loads of money.
Okay, well, good. Well, talk to Everton, please. Are you in Manchester or are you in Liverpool?
In Liverpool.
He's in Liverpool.
Okay, well, you're just go over there. You're close. Go talk.
Give
a shout out the window there.
10 minutes away from Goodison Park too.
There you go. Perfect.
That's interesting. You must be fairly close to Stanley Park, eh? He's frozen. Okay, I asked the wrong thing.
Are you close to Stanley Park?
Don't ask questions like that, Colin. Just stick to the fucking script. Excuse me. What was I going to say? I wanted to talk about. There's a subject we were talking. You brought up Bianconeri YYZ. We've been talking, at meetups about Pirlo, about Tudor. And how do you feel he did this year, and what's your impression of him after this year? Because I remember at the start of this year we had a fairly in-depth chat, and you referenced a friend of ours from Croatia who knew of him and wasn't as kind of overjoyed as maybe some of the Juventus fans were about his addition. And it's interesting to me that halfway through the season we heard talks of a rift between Pirlo, Baronio, and Tudor, and it slipped under the radar. It came out in the papers, but what was your impression of that whole saga as it was kind of developing? I
think that what happens is when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, you end up with a mess. And the problem is that you had a bunch of sous chefs in there. And by that, I mean, of course, that Pirlo was brand spanking new. He was told he was the chef, but really he's not prepared. He wasn't prepared. You have Tudor, who has coached at the senior level, a couple teams. Udinese had a split, right? Some of those teams there. And I'm sure he had his own ideas. I don't think that he has had any success in terms of coaching, and it's almost like it was an add-on. Like Tudor was just some guy they slapped on, but really the technical team from the start was Pirlo and Baronio, with Baronio's advising Pirlo, and in the end, like you have 3 sous chefs trying to run things, and nobody who has a ton of experience and pedigree that would bring to the table, and kind of everyone else says, okay, well, he knows what he's talking about, so let's follow him, right? And I don't think that because Tudor was not part of Pirlo's team to begin with, he just wasn't listened to, and I don't think that, as I said from the beginning, he brought a heck of a lot to the table to begin with. And it's no surprise that I think he's been sent packing. If he hasn't, he likely will very soon. Tudor.
Yeah. I wasn't impressed with him at all. I mean, one of the things that I noticed, big changes in the defensive system, like even how they defended from free kicks, from corner kicks. It went from a kind of a semi man marking job to a full zonal job, and we were conceding goals. And now, I mean, this kind of started with when Sarri was in charge as well. They started messing with the defensive system, which was like, why? Like, why would you ever? Like, it should be written on a plaque at Conte Nassa. This is how we defend, carved into the wall. This is how it works. Don't ever change. You can change anything else, but don't change that. And,
right. In terms of set pieces, I think you're right. I mean, man marking is the way to go, and is the way that we had success. But I think in terms of goals from open play, we were just leaking goals right, left, and center.
Yeah.
The 2021 season, and that's, I think, a lot of that is attributable to the fact that we were pressing high. Both Sarri and Pirlo kind of had this idea, and Ronaldo played right into that, because he's all about pressing high and trying to get that ball back high. And what happens when you do that is that you lengthen the team. If you're looking at from the TVs, the team's long, right? Instead, it should be like a squeeze box. You know what I mean? It should go up and down like this and be like tight at the back, right? Instead, we were so long, and there's like a lot of space in between, and we just allowed them here. Yeah, we allowed them to come in and score. And I think
stretched out, basically.
Stretched out.
Yeah.
And don't forget that we had as well the best assist man for the opponent as well in our team, man.
Who's that?
Kulusevski, Arthur.
Arthur lost a bloody one, and Bentancur lost a bloody one. Bentancur, who's my boy. Yeah. I'm a staunch Bentancur apologist, but even I have to admit that he had a poor season. He had a very poor season. And Arthur, I think, showed a lot of promise until he got hurt. And then afterwards, he was rushed back, and we haven't seen the real Arthur yet at Juventus, I don't think.
Yeah, I think that Arthur is just a spinning ball.
He's a what?
He's like a spinning ball. He just like to spin around. That's the problem. Arthur, he just goes like that all the time. He's
like a dog chasing his tail.
Kind of.
Yeah. He's like a dog chasing the tail. Yeah, he's got exactly the same.
My dog was in here 2 minutes ago doing exactly that, so I had to get rid of her. But what was I going to say? I wanted to touch briefly on Paratici. Like the main kind of confirmed news that we've had from Juventus in the last while has been, 1, Paratici is gone. 2, Arriva Bene. It's not official yet, I don't believe, but he's acting in the role. He's in as the new CEO. We've had an extension to Morata. And also then yesterday we've had, it was the day before it was made official. UEFA have admitted us to the Champions League, which is that's so. Yeah, I mean, what did you think of the whole Super League saga? I can't remember talking to you about it.
No, what a mess! What a mess! The Super League. I mean, I right from the start, I didn't say anything, but Of course, I dislike the idea. I do. I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I do like football the way it is organized in broad strokes, not all the nitty gritty details of it. Do like the meritocracy. Do like the rags to riches opportunity out there. I think that, and I called it from the start, that what Juventus, Barcelona, and Real Madrid, and the other 12 teams who are going to be first people coming on board first teams coming on board were looking for. It was a cry for help. It was literally saying that, look, we are paying the best of the best. We are bringing the best of the best. And we can't make ends meet with the current format. We need to recruit better sponsors, make this thing more remunerative, because there's no way that we're going to be able to withstand the revenue, the revenue side of things. And of course the counter argument is really easy for that. And that's, you know what, guys, you guys better have to manage your resources better. Don't come and cry to us that, you're not getting paid enough. Right. It's, but one thing's for sure. I think in the first leg of this battle, and the first part of the battle has been lost by the 12 Super League proponents. But it's not over yet. I think that this is leverage, right? Again, they've leveraged that in order to try to make the two sides kind of come together. I think we're down the road, we're going to be looking at more Champions League games, more remuneration in general, more inequity, by the way. Like, you're still going to have rags to riches opportunity, but you're going to see bigger teams take a bigger slice of the pie. And domestic league play being reduced. There's pressure that's going to be exerted on domestic leagues to reduce the number of teams. I would not be surprised to see Italy go down to 18 teams, even though nobody's talking about it right now. I'm seeing it right now on Colin Powers' show.
It happened right here, guys. It happened. I'm going to clip it out. Don't worry, I'll clip it.
18 teams is where Italy's heading right now. I foresee it in the coming year or two. You're going to start out of nowhere. It's going to come out. It's going to happen.
I've heard it.
Same in maybe EPL, even though EPL is making a ton of money at it. So maybe they might be able to withstand that. But again, like, you're talking about 70 games a season. That's nuts. There's no way that they'll be able to sustain that.
Level as fuck was saying he's here for the hype. That's brilliant. I've heard that talked about, so I mean, the only thing about the English teams is they have this phenomenon of, it's called a parachute fund, like, and you get a share of 100 million sterling if you go down. So you can actually get rewarded for being relegated in the Premier League.
That's a perverse incentive if I've ever heard one.
And teams like Wolves have benefited from that over the last few years. They've been able to go down to the first division and still be able to build a squad to come back up. I mean, what did you think of the whole thing, Max?
Me personally, I don't like the format of the Super League. For a meritocracy system, because you see, I don't understand why teams like Arsenal, for example, and Tottenham should be in the 15 teams that were always there, when they haven't won nothing for years. I don't get that. First of all. Second point, the mistake by the UEFA, because the UEFA do business with Khalifi.
Yeah.
He's doing business, but he's telling other people not to do things the same. That's what is wrong, the situation. If they say, do what I say, don't do what I do. And that's a wrong point. The UEFA, they just hating themselves doing this.
Yeah.
I understand why teams like Juventus, Barcelona, Real Madrid will carry on. And I think that they will win if they go to court, to the High Court, European High Court.
Yeah.
Because they got even the best lawyer, the one for the Bosman law. He's the same one DuPont. And with that guy, you don't mess. He doesn't get into something if he doesn't mess.
He's unbelievable. I mean, what he did for Manchester City is just unbelievable. I mean, he dragged their case out for so long that eventually when they were found guilty, statute of limitations meant they couldn't be punished, and that was it. And it was buried. And nobody gives a damn if you get a fine or whatever, as long as you don't get, demoted or anything like that. Fans don't care, So...
Yeah.
My Freddie Monamour is coming in here. He says the Super League is for men and the Champions League is for kids.
I'm a big kids, Paolo.
Steve is saying it's a groundbreaking podcast. Yeah, I mean, we could break ground on reducing Serie A to 18 teams. The only thing is, could we actually choose which teams to get rid of?
Well, you'd just have to increase relegation to 2 more, and then it would have cascading effects on Serie B, Serie C, etc. So that's the way that it would be done. I remember being dismayed at the fact that they did that in way back in the mid 2000s, to increase Serie A to 20 teams. I thought it was ridiculous, and I think over the course of time that proved to be did not benefit Serie A in the long run, did not produce more Italian talent. And we've seen performance of Italy in the subsequent World Cups and Euros. Since 2006, it's been one disaster after another, with a few exceptions. The Euro going to the final and getting wiped out. With 2016 we overperformed, but we just haven't seen that wealth of talent come up. And to be honest, these kids here, the way things are going right now, they are overperforming. But as I said, we haven't played real competition yet. We've been playing against expanded Euro with a lot weaker teams in the meantime. It's meant that we haven't been tested. So I'm not playing myself again.
What's it called? The UEFA Nations League. They've got so many competitions now. I don't even care what they're called. It's just the glorified friendlies, But I mean, what would I say? I mean, you brought up an interesting point there, like discussing whether increasing the amount of teams is going to affect the quality of the national team. For me, particularly with Italy, the only thing I've seen that's affected the quality of the national team is reducing the amount of international players allowed into each squad. And Italy has a history of doing that. And anytime they've done it, it's had a positive effect, So, I mean, what was it? They stopped foreign players coming into Serie A in 1966, and they only started it back up in 1980, and that the interim time produced a generation of players that would eventually win.
Fantastic! Are you kidding?
The World Cup in 1982, and
that was Juventus, by the way, that won the World Cup in 1982. Don't forget.
Yeah. Juventus without Liam Brady.
7 or 8.
We had about 8 players in the team. 8 players. In 2006, more or less similar too.
Yeah. So, I think that's what has the main effect, focusing Italian talent in your squad. For me, if we get Locatelli, he's another top talent, and also, it gives him a chance to grow as well. It could only be good for the Italian national team. So, I mean, there was one last topic I wanted to touch on with you, and that's Arriva Bene. What do you think of this guy? Do you think, because I've heard, and I know Max's take on this, that he's an Exor man, and he's been brought in to manage the money side of things. I don't know how I feel about that. Do I think it's a multinational that's in the middle of a financial crisis, global crisis, who's trying to tighten the purse strings, or is it just better management thereafter? I really don't know. So
better management, Colin.
Okay.
And also, I think that we will be involved a lot with the communication with the press. I don't know if you ever heard him talking to the press. It's better they don't mess with him. Because he will stop them there and then, because he's a very, very harsh man.
I look forward to it.
I also think I think that's a good take. Not knowing anything else. Again, he comes from Ferrari, one of the other subsidiaries of Exor, and now he's going to the other division, Juventus SPA. He's not a football guy. That's my concern, is that Juventus is like those folks, that side of our fan base that is in love, despises the J Corp side of things, is in for a nasty surprise if they think that things are going to change with Arrivabene's installment. I think someone like that is going to turn the screws on the business side of things, looking to maximize and diversify income. The team, revenue, looking to maximize all the other streams, merchandising, ticket sales, and all of that. It's just about to get even more on the other side of the spectrum. So that's what you're going to see in terms of Cherubini. I mean, Paratici was let's just face it, Paratici was no Marotta. And I think Cherubini is someone who also doesn't have that deep pedigree, that tried, tested, and true, been dragged through the mud of some Serie C team that he's been managing, trying to make, deals here and there. He doesn't have that experience. Right.
Yeah.
He's no Marotta. He's no, I think someone like, I don't know, Tade could have come in, and I know, it's like, who, what? He's no Juve connection, nothing. But he's someone who has proven to be a superb DS for Lazio. I don't know. I'm hoping to be proven wrong. I'm hoping that Cherubini can leverage some of the stuff that he might have learned off of Paratici and maybe Marotta before, in order to do better. But it's I'm not very hopeful in that respect. Both with Arrivabene a little more, just because he's not dealing with specifically the sporting aspect of things.
Yeah.
But with Cherubini as well, I am not, especially with Cherubini, I'm not that hopeful.
Yeah, well, look, we know
that. Sorry, Colin. Cherubini has been working with the Paratici for the past 11 years.
Okay.
Then probably he learned something.
I'm hoping he learned. I'm hoping that he learned, and I'm hoping to be proven.
But that's one of the reasons.
I'm wrong often, by the way. So that's
no. I mean, but that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why they brought back Allegri too, and they give him a different situation in the team that he's got to deal with players or something like that. Anyway, to help Cherubini in that situation, because Allegri's got a lot of experience anyway compared to Cherubini, because he's an ex-footballer anyway, and that's why they put it that way. I think.
But Cherubini's a scout. That's his background. He's a scout. He's an excellent scout, but he's a scout. So I mean, as long as he works well with Arrivabene, and I'm happy with Arrivabene to be the talking head. Mm-hmm. It's interesting you brought up Morata. I just, no matter what was going on with Juventus, Morata always had a way of dealing with it with a kind of a cheeky smile. Mm-hmm. It was. I enjoyed these press conferences for that reason. Right. Same with Allegri.
And don't forget another thing. Arrivabene has been in the Juventus board for the past 12 years too.
Yes, 2012. Yeah.
So he's seen a lot of the movements there.
He's been around. Then he knows what he's talking about and what he's supposed to do, and also he's got the experience with Philip Morris as well. Mm-hmm. Then that he was.
I hope then we can smoke the competition.
Competition. Yeah. I don't think I'm allowed to advertise that, Rocco. Sorry.
Oh, look, man, I'm trying. I did Coke before. I'm drinking from Dasani, which is a Coke product. I did the Philip Morris, anything. Okay, and all I want is 10%. Just give me 10%. I'm good.
Actually, I don't care if they want to pay me. I'll take the money. My Freddie Moore, he's saying also, Agnelli was not a footballer, guys. A football guy. Arrivabene is a business manager. He's more a Morata than a Paratici. We need a manager like Arrivabene. Cherubini will be the one in charge of the technical choices, players to get and sell. But don't forget Allegri in this equation. He'll provide important input about players to hire. I'm sure
that's what I just said.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So, guys, It's been great chatting,
Likewise.
as always. I can't wait to chat next time, and I'm going to thank everybody for supporting the podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, thanks very much as well. Give us a like, share it, and make sure you're subscribed on Twitch and YouTube. And so we're going live twice a week. That's Tuesday and Thursday. Plus a few pop-ups here and there, and I'm gonna say thanks for everybody who's come into the chat as well. Such a good lot of you. I'm not going to name you individually, and Rocco, do you have anything you want to plug?
No, absolutely not. Other than if you want to follow our little club that could, which is the Bianconeri YYZ of Toronto. We are a Juventus official fan club. You can, if you're in Toronto especially, but not even if not, give us a check. Check us out on Twitter at Juventus YYZ. And if you're looking to join a Juventus official fan club, then more than welcome to do that. If not, you can follow me at the name that you see here on Twitter. Just easygoing guy. I like to shoot the breeze about anything. So it's been a wonderful experience to be part of, and actually I'm honored that you asked me, Colin, to join your illustrious and growing endeavor, and absolutely would love to do that in the future.
And Steve says, "Go Leafs, go!" Just to give a quick minute, just to let you guys know, if anyone in particular is out there and they're not a member of an official fan club, what are the benefits? Obviously, I mean, you get access to tickets. That's brilliant. Obviously, you're part of a club, and it's great to meet up with people and watch games either in person or online. I'm a member of Bianconeri YYZ. Why? Because during the pandemic, we wanted to talk Juventus with people, and they're a fantastic club, and I haven't regretted it for a second. If you're looking to join a club, check them out online. Max, how are you getting on?
Yeah,
are you all right?
I will thank you, Colin. Be nice to meet you, Rocco.
My pleasure.
Hopefully we'll see you again. It's been a pleasure to speak to you. It's always lovely to talk about Juventus, about our love anyway. That's our first love.
It was great to share the panel with you today.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's it. That's it, guys. Ciao ragazzi. Forza Juve.
See you guys. Ciao.
Ciao.